At the moment that the most recent contender took her place on the legendary American Idol stage, the lights were turned down, and the studio fell into a tense quiet of anticipation. There is always that one contestant that causes the judges to sit up straight, take attention, and feel something deep within their bones. This always happens during each season of the competition. On the 23rd season of American Idol, the singer Amanda Barise, whose passion for music is as raw as her vocal force, was set to make her mark on the competition. With a voice that possessed all the spirit and strength of a seasoned performer, Amanda came up to the microphone. Her presence was beautiful, and her voice had all the strength. Her appearance conveyed a sense of both self-assurance and nervousness, a feeling that anyone who had ever stepped onto such a big stage could relate to. But what she did not yet know was that this particular moment was meant to be one of the auditions that will be remembered for the rest of the season. The build-up, an outstanding beginning to the story. The route that Amanda took to become a member of American Idol had already been anything but typical. Having been brought up in a musical household, she had always been exposed to the sounds of jazz, blues, and soul music everywhere she went. As a result of the fact that her mother was a voice instructor and her father had been a guitarist in a popular band in the past, music had always been involved in her life. The journey that Amanda had taken to arrive at this point on American Idol had been a long and at times challenging one, despite the fact that she came from a wealthy home. A heart-to-heart conversation took place between Amanda and the producers before she took the stage. During this conversation, she was candid about her experiences growing up in a small town, where she was frequently informed that she did not fit in with the mainstream sound. But Amanda was well aware that her voice, which was brimming with emotions and grit, had the ability to fascinate listeners. She was absolutely not going to continue to conceal it. As soon as the camera went to the judges, they were all eager to find out who this new contestant was. Despite the fact that Carrie Underwood, Bryan, and Lionel Richie were seated in their customary positions, they were prepared to listen to a wide variety of auditions. However, they were unaware that Amanda was going to amaze them. An intense explosion of the soulful audition. Amanda took a few deep breaths and closed her eyes for a brief period at the beginning of the piano's performance. It was filled with the familiar chords of James Brown's song, "It's a Man's World," which filled the air. The song, which has been a defining piece of soul music, has challenged many people to sing it with the kind of emotional depth that it requires, and Amanda was more than ready to take on the job. The initial few notes were soft and almost eerie. Then Amanda's voice poured out with complete command of the instrument. As the judges glanced at each other, laughing and shaking their heads, they had the distinct impression that this audition would not be like any other performance. On the other hand, as Amanda's voice began to become more intense, they were aware that they were watching something exceptionally remarkable. She was not merely singing the words, rather, she was living them for herself. The fragility that she possessed in her voice was accompanied by such remarkable force that each note appeared to have a more profound significance. The performance of "It's a Man's World" that Amanda performed gave the impression that it was coming from the very center of her being. She gave the song a whole new meaning by giving the words, which were already well known, a fresh perspective and bringing them into the present day. It seemed as though every note had a narrative to tell, and every syllable had a certain amount of weight. The vocal range of Amanda was incredible. She could seamlessly transition from a smoky, deep tone to a soaring high note that sent goosebumps down the spines of everyone in the audience. Her command was flawless, and she never faltered in her delivery of the words. There were times when her voice broke slightly, but in the most positive way possible. This added a touch of raw emotion to the song, which made it feel even more personal. Expressions of awe and silence from the judges. The judges were completely enthralled by Amanda's performance, and they sat in stunned silence while she sang. Carrie Underwood, who has long been recognized for her tremendous voice, was the first person to break the silence, and her eyes were wide with adoration as she did so. "Wow," she whispered, shaking her head in astonishment after hearing the news. When it comes to singing the song, I'm not sure if I've ever heard anyone else do it like that. The expression on his face was one of complete and utter shock. He seemed to be clapping his hands in time with the beat of the song as he leaned forward in his chair. The moment Amanda hit the peak of her performance, his jaw dropped back in shock. He cried, "Good gracious, Amanda," with annoyance. Not only did you bring all the soul, but you brought even more. It was just fantastic. During his lengthy and brilliant career, Lionel Richie, who has witnessed and heard all there is to see and hear, was obviously touched. His eyes were filled with adoration and respect for Amanda, and he nodded his head as she completed her sentence. In a tone that was equal parts admiration and encouragement, he added, "Allow me to share something with you. That was a happening. Not only did you sing that song, but you also made it your own composition. An artist is someone who takes their audience on a journey, and you did that for us. Doing so is what a celebrity is known for." Amanda was standing there in startled silence, despite the fact that she had been giving her performance her absolute best effort. The gravity of the situation was beginning to take hold. Her expression made it abundantly evident that she had not anticipated the emotions of the judges to be quite as overpowering as they were. She flashed a grin, clearly moved by the words that they had spoken. However, it was not only their words that had left an impression on the audience. Amanda's performance had also left an impression. There was a palpable electricity in the room. As the powerful young woman who had just graced the stage made her entrance, the judges stood up and applauded and cheered for her. Amanda's eyes welled up with tears as she stared out at the sea of faces, and the ovation was so loud that it was beyond her ability to hear. The most valuable ticket. After the ovation had subsided, Carrie went to Amanda with a grin on her face and said, "Amanda, you just gave us one of the most powerful performances of the season. Not a single thing was withheld from you. You have a lovely present. I'm a countryman, so you know I'm loving it." Luke continued, "That was so much soul, and I'm looking forward to it. To tell you the truth, however, you have something that transcends the confines of a single genre. It is clear that you are a talent." Finally, it was Lionel's chance to speak. Amanda was greeted with a friendly grin, and his words left an impression. Not only do you have what it takes to be on American Idol, but you also have what it takes to create a profession out of listening to music. Because you possess that innate gift, it is not something that can be taught to anyone. You seem to possess the spirit of a genuine artist. It is an honor for me to be a part of this trip alongside you." Carrie turned to the producer who was standing next to her after the judges all exchanged a glance with one another. As she smiled, she gave a slight nod in agreement. She then proceeded to hand the golden ticket to Amanda, saying, "I believe it is time." And then she continued. This caused Amanda's hand to shake with excitement, and the crowd went absolutely berserk. With the golden ticket, which represented the realization of her dream, she pressed it to her chest and held it there. Despite her best efforts to find the right words, tears began to fill up in her eyes. As for me, I am at a loss for words. Despite the fact that her voice was shaking with passion, she stated, "This is just a dream. You are so appreciative. Simply said, this means everything to me." Amanda Barise had just made the first of many significant steps towards becoming a genuine celebrity, and she was holding the golden ticket in her hand. However, she was unaware of the fact that this was merely the beginning of the process. Her performance had made an indelible impact on the 23rd season of American Idol, and the force of her voice would be something that no one in that room would soon forget that had left an indelible mark. The repercussions. A rising star in the making. Following Amanda's departure from the stage, the audience continued to shout for her. A discussion had been raised among both fans and other contestants as a result of her audition participation. She was not merely another brilliant vocalist, rather, she was a formidable appreciation for her performance on social media, with many expressing their astonishment at how effortlessly she had commanded the stage. According to a tweet from a user on Twitter, Amanda Barise recently performed "It's a Man's World," as if the song was made specifically for her. There was another person who wrote, "She is the one to watch this season." In the days that followed her audition, Amanda would receive notes from music enthusiasts all across the world, many of whom were moved by her performance of the famous song. However, the most significant point of feedback that Amanda received came from the judges, and they made one thing abundantly clear: she was only beginning her journey. As American Idol Season 23 progressed, Amanda Barise became a fan favorite, and it became abundantly evident that her powerful voice, in conjunction with her unwavering commitment, was going to propel her to great heights. The world was about to witness the rise of a true artist, if her audition was any sign of what was to come.